Hey guys, it's Hunter Henry of the LA Chargers. Welcome to the capsON podcast. I hope you guys enjoy and thanks for listening.
Welcome to the capsON podcast, coming to you from the capital, with your hosts, Nick Tobias, Tyler Blumenstick, and Michael Britton.
Welcome back to the fourth iteration of the capsON podcast. We are going into week 15 of the NFL season, and we had a pretty good gambling week last week. I think we all finished over 65%. I think, Mikey, you snuck up there.
66.67. Sneaky.
So let's see if we can keep that consistency going. Stick, why don't you intro our first game here?
Alrighty, we're starting off with the 1 o'clock games, Tampa Bay at Detroit. The line is 3.5 favoring Tampa Bay on the road at Ford Field. The total is set at 46. It opened at 47.5, so we got a lot of action on the under, driving that total down. Tampa Bay's at minus 185 on the money line. This is an interesting game. A 3-9 Lions hosting the 6-7 Bucks. I mean, if the Bucks play defense, they would have a pretty solid record. That's just facts. They score points. They have a good offense. They don't have many running backs. Ronald Jones and Peyton Barber aren't terrible, but I don't know. Jameis is just something else. We've talked about his potential color blindness, throwing the ball to the other team. Blindness, color blindness, just the inability to throw the ball to the guys in the red or the gray, whichever jerseys they're wearing for the week.
Thumb's gonna help him too much either.
No, not at all.
There are a couple injuries in this game, Nick. You said Jameis Winston questionable with the hand injury. On the defensive end for Tampa Bay, Jason Pierre-Paul is questionable with a knee injury. For the Lions, they have their handful of injuries as well. Marvin Jones is out for the season with an ankle injury. Matt Stafford obviously is questionable with a broken back, so questionable.
Yeah.
He's probably not going to play. And Bo Scarborough is out too, questionable with ribs. I don't know if he's out, but he's it's questionable. I don't know how many carries he's actually going to end up getting, but he's been pretty good for a Lions team that's kind of been treading water, not really doing anything like spectacular.
And Kerryon Johnson was supposed to be this sneaky running back, especially in terms of fantasy. He just didn't really produce much. And
well, I have here that Scarborough was limited on Wednesday in practice, and he was downgraded to out of practice on Thursday. So I doubt we see Bo Scarborough out there on Sunday too. So right now we're looking at David Blau.
T.J. Hawkinson's also listed as either out or doubtful.
He's out for the season. He's out for the season. He's on the IL. So right now it's down to David Blau and Kenny Galladay. That is it.
And Danny Amendola.
Again, that is it. So, really, you're banking on a blind Jameis Winston who has a broken finger on his throwing hand and a Detroit Lions team who is...
if the NFL had a D-League, it would be the D-League Detroit Lions.
D for Detroit.
Initially looking at this game, I figured I would probably stay away from it, but after seeing all of these injuries, I just can't imagine Detroit stays in this game. I don't care if they're the home team or not. Chris Godwin is arguably their number one receiver this year. Mike Evans is definitely a much more talented player, I would say, but Chris Godwin has produced at wide receiver 1 levels this year, and he absolutely has the capability to keep up that production, keep it going. The spread is low. O.J. Howard has been playing okay the last couple of weeks. He's been getting his receptions. He's been playing well. Cam Brate has been getting a lot of touchdowns lately. I just don't know if the Lions can stay in this. It's now that you look at it, it's really Jameis and Chris Godwin versus David Blau and Kenny Galladay.
We don't know how Jameis is going to throw though with that broken thumb. He
Yeah,
didn't
but
break
he
it
doesn't-
last game.
It can't
last
be
week.
much different than how he usually is.
That's
Well, who's their
I
backup?
can't argue with you on that.
Who's Tampa Bay's backup? Who'd they have come in last
I couldn't
week?
even tell you.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this is going to be a crapshoot.
That's why Jameis is playing.
I don't know. I don't know how to gamble this game.
Jameis is playing for his job.
That's true. That
Broken
is also
thumb or
true.
not, like he's got until the end of December. I just
Well, he has a possibility of leading the leagues in total yards, total touchdowns, and total interceptions. There's a high possibility that he leads.
if the NFL had the triple crown, he would have it, and that'd be it.
So I think this is I have to take Tampa Bay minus 3.5 here. I think it's a terrible take, and I don't want to watch the game. But
This is one of the hardest
Detroit
ones all
has
week.
lost 4 straight to Dallas, at Washington, home
4,
against
they've lost
Chicago,
6.
which was on Thanksgiving, and then at Minnesota. They haven't been putting up points since they lost Matt Stafford, and now they just lost a host of their offense. Like TJ Hawkinson is not productive at all this year, but he's out. He's still their starting tight end. Bo Scarborough, like they're down now to just nobody in the backfield. I mean, maybe it's a Kerryon Johnson coming out party, but I'm gonna stick with Tampa Bay minus 3.5. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, so the Lions are actually on a 6-game losing streak, not 4, which makes it even worse. And Tampa is on a 3-game winning streak. But with Mike Evans out and Jameis's thumb, I think this is going to rely heavy on the run. That's why I'm going to stay away from the spread in this game and just hammer the under.
what's the total?
46.
46.
So under 46.
That's a tricky one. Mano?
Yeah, I really don't want to pick a side in this either, but I think I have to go with Tampa Bay. They're just the better team. Detroit has lost their last 5 games. And Tampa has won their last 3. Jameis Winston kind of put on a competent quarterback hat and kind of led his way against the Colts last week. I think Jameis Winston has the green light to pretty much do whatever he wants there for the time being. Even if they go behind in this game or if they're up in this game, they're just going to keep throwing the ball. I think Jameis Winston does enough to keep them in this, and the defense kind of picks apart the dudes that Detroit's throwing out there.
All right, so definitely a weird game. I don't know.
This is tough. This is
Pick and choose as you wish. Bet carefully. But those are our picks. Moving on, we got a NFC East divisional game, the terrible, terrible NFC East. And just as a reminder, we are Giants fans here on this podcast.
Reluctantly.
Yeah.
Heartbreaker on Monday in Eli's return.
Hey, they covered the spread.
But we'll get to the Giants later. We got Philly at Washington. Philly is a 5-point favorite. The total is set at a measly 39.5 points. Gross. It's in Washington at FedEx Field. 6-7 Philly team playing the 3-10 Washington Redskins. This is another gross game. Philly is really playing for their lives. They need to keep up with Dallas to even have a shot at the division. Both teams, I believe, are 6-7. Dallas is 6-7 as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, watching Philly on Monday night against the Giants, they just did not impress me. Now Alshon is out for the year. Nick, you made a ballsy pick in taking Washington plus 13 in Green Bay last week, and it paid off.
And yes, I know. Thank you.
I might be a fool, but I'm taking the 5 with Washington at home against Philly this week.
Listen, I would absolutely take Washington with the 5 at home. I mean, we're looking at a Philly team that does not have any wide receivers. They lost Alshon last week. Now they're really down to Matt Collins, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Dallas Goedert, and Zach Ertz. The backfield is slow. Washington's got a sneaky defense. Their defense, they're out there all the time, which is giving them some experience, some chemistry.
Yeah.
They
It's a lot of
draft-
young guys.
They
Go ahead.
draft primarily like defensive players over the past couple of years, and it's
They're smart. I mean,
Yeah.
that's smarter, I guess.
obviously there's developmental curves that have to come, but eventually, as playing as a unit, they kind of proved it last week, in with going against Aaron Rodgers and kind of keeping him at bay and keeping that Green Bay squad kind of under wraps. They didn't really look too great, but neither.
I mean, I think
but-
this is going to be a really crappy game. I think Washington ends up back. I think it's going to be a backdoor cover for Washington. I mean, I think they're going to go down a couple touchdowns early, but I think they'll fight their way back. But I feel comfortable with Washington plus 5 here. I take the points. It's NFC East. These games are always
Yeah.
close.
I wouldn't be shocked
That's-
if they win this game outright.
That's the thing. You never know with the NFC East. It's literally a toss-up, like pretty much every time. there's a matchup there. I agree with you guys with the Redskins plus 5.5. I agree. I know that they do have like a younger defense, but like you guys said, they are on the field all the time. They are starting to click. This game is just pretty much the next few games for them too are just mainly focused on growth. I think they'll start to click. I'm gonna take Redskins plus 5.5.
I'm going to go against it here. I'm taking Philly minus 4.5. I took Philly last week against the Giants. It came back and bit me, so I'm going to take them again. I think you guys highlighted the injuries that Philly has on the offensive side of the ball. But what combats that is the fact that Doug Peterson is a fantastic coach. I have confidence in his ability to draw up plays and get production out of the dudes that they have. And I think that's just going to stump the Redskins, whatever they think they might have planned. So I'm taking Philly minus 4.5.
All right. So Mano's the contrarian once again. Moving on, we got Chicago at Green Bay. Green Bay is a 4.5 point favorite at home. Chicago sits at 7-6. Green Bay is at 10-3. Probably the sneakiest 10-3 team, the quietest 10-3 team this year.
I feel like it's been an unimpressive 10-3. Also.
It has.
Yeah,
It's just been like they've just barely squeaked out games. Like they're honestly they are what the Chargers probably should be if they were on the other side of their close games. Green Bay and the Chargers are very similar, I would say. Obviously, Green Bay's got the quarterback edge, but drop the Chargers for now. Chicago is 4-9 against the spread. Green Bay 8-5 against the spread. They're 1-5 on the spread against the spread on the road, while Green Bay is 4-3 at home against the spread. I don't know how to really kind of get a grip on the Chicago team. They've won 3 of their last 4 on a 3-game win streak, but they've been tough against the spread. It's been close. They beat the Giants, they beat Detroit, and they beat Dallas. Like, Dallas is probably the best team, definitely the best team out of those 3. But then again, you look on the other side of the coin at Green Bay. They've also won 3 of their last 4. They've beaten Carolina, lost to San Francisco in horrible fashion, 37-8. Then they beat up on the Giants, and then they barely squeaked away at home against Washington, like we mentioned before. I still like this Green Bay team.
This is where I trust Aaron Rodgers. It's an in-division matchup. It's in Lambeau. It's probably going to be chilly, and it's Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to let another game slip through his hands. Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams. I just can't go against Green Bay in this matchup, especially because I don't trust Mitch Trubisky at all. I don't trust Mitch Trubisky. I don't trust the run game. I don't trust Matt Nagy. I gotta take Green Bay minus 4.5 here. I mean, I might try to buy it down to 3.5 if I can, just to play the points. I do think it's going to be a little close. I don't think that Green Bay's going to blow it out of the water. It's going to be cold, like I said.
Chicago's used to the cold.
Yeah, they're both.
Yeah, I mean, Chicago's used to the cold, but it is Lambeau. That's the thing is, the Lambeau, I think Lambeau's home field advantage is different than most other stadiums. It's kind of like KC and Arrowhead and how loud it gets and stuff like that. I know a lot of people are projecting this game to be close. Obviously, if it's a close game, the Bears cover, but I don't think it's going to be that close. I think Aaron Rodgers puts the team on his back, and he wants to get to the playoffs and prove everybody wrong. So I'm going to go Green Bay minus 4.5.
These two teams met week 1 to the tune of a 10-3 game. I mean, I think it was the first game of the NFL season. It was sloppy. 2 field goals and a touchdown is not, necessarily good football, but and that game was in Chicago. Now they're back in Green Bay. I think this is definitely a tough one. In-division games, especially on the road, are always tough. These two teams always play it tight. I think I'm going with Chicago plus 4.5. I like that defense. I think they're getting better. I think they had a little, nag in the road, and now I think they've kind of figured it out now. I feel like they know how to play as a unit, and they're kind of getting back to what was making them successful last year. I think they continue to build on that and maybe not win the game, but I definitely think they cover plus 4.5.
All right, Nick, you pretty much hit on all the points I was going to bring up. The one thing I want to point out that's going to be the big determinant for this game, in my opinion, is just straight up the quarterback matchup. Aaron Rodgers, in his 3 of his last 5 games, has thrown under 200 yards. And on the other side, Trubisky is completing 77% of his passes. Now, Aaron Rodgers, I think this is his week that he finally gets it together. He goes off. They are home in Lambeau. The cold, he thrives in the cold. Then you have Trubisky, who's playing phenomenal in these past 3 weeks based on his stats. I think this is his crumble week. I have no faith in Mitch. I'm going Packers minus, what is it, 4.5?
4.5.
Packers minus 4.5.
All right, man, with a contrarian once again. Moving on to New England at Cincinnati. We had some controversy this week with the Patriots. What else is new? Spying on Cincinnati, filming their practices, I believe.
Well, no, they were filming a game. They're filming the game.
They're filming a documentary.
They were filming a documentary. The game's in Cleveland. The game's in Cincinnati. They're in Cincinnati with cameras. It doesn't make sense. And Bill Belichick says, we didn't know we were crossing the line. We unknowingly crossed the line. Yeah, right. How many times do you have to do this? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, you wonder why they're the most hated team in football outside of New England. But, like, come on. I mean, aside of the Cowboys. Like,
listen, they get away with it. I hate the fact that they cheat, but if you're not cheating, you're not trying to win.
Allegedly cheating.
Allegedly. And what, you don't think all these other teams are out there trying to steal stuff? They got caught. This is sort of like the MLB with the Astros and the sign stealing stuff. The Astros got caught.
Tre'Davious White picked up
that was
John
hilarious.
Harbaugh's play sheet. So.
They're trying to have fun. They're trying to gain an edge. And what are you going to do?
You need an edge, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and the Patriots against the 1-12 Cincinnati
Bengals.
Bengals.
You've seen the way they play?
Okay, against the
Fine.
Bengals, though?
Fine. Anyways,
Listen.
I don't know.
Go ahead. Talk all the shit you want about the Bengals. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, I'm going to, and I'm going to just come flat out and say that New England minus 10 is my lock of the week. New England, their backs against the walls. They've lost 2 straight to Houston and Kansas City. They have 3 losses on the year, all to great quarterbacks in Mahomes, Watson, and drawing a blank here, Lamar Jackson, who's on TV at the moment. Last week I said that quarterbacks that have the ability to use their legs and make plays outside the pocket have given them trouble, and Kansas City did just that. And Patrick Mahomes beat the Patriots in Foxborough. However, the Bengals have been kind of giving us this illusion that they're figuring it out. They've played Oakland close, they've played Pittsburgh close, they've beaten the Jets, and then they've played Cleveland close. All games have stayed within, I believe... Well, I mean, all of their losses have stayed close in under 10 points. But then again, none of those teams are the Patriots. I don't care if the Patriots are struggling. The Patriots go into Cincinnati, just 10 points. Like, come on. Like, you're literally giving Tom Brady 10-point leeway on a spread against a 1-12 team.
Yeah.
Late in a season where they're pissed off, I don't care. This game is going to be an absolute blowout, and I'm completely comfortable saying this. New England, minus 10, my lock of the week. Book it. Now.
I mean, I like Cincinnati here plus 10.
Did I say to book it?
You said to book it.
Book it.
I have it booked.
Go ahead. Make a little Washington pick on the road kind of thing. Go ahead.
Listen.
Let's hear it.
I do think New England blows out Cincinnati. I don't think Cincinnati smells victory in any sorts, whatever this game. But 10 points is something I can't leave on the table. Maybe they backdoor cover at the end of the game.
You just said you don't think Cincinnati loses by 10 points or less. And now you're going to pick Cincinnati? I mean, you can make your pick.
Yeah, well, I'm going to...
I'll let you make it, but go ahead.
I'm picking with my heart here. I think Cincinnati covers the 10 points. I don't like Andy Dalton, but Cincinnati, baby. Let's rock. Let's rock. Cincinnati plus 10.
You confuse me.
Cincinnati is like...
I had a nice 80% last week, so I can confuse you
That's
all
fair.
you want.
You did.
All right. Well, the Bengals do have like the worst rush defense in
Bengals
the
are
league.
bad.
They're awful.
Yeah.
They're awful. And I know that the Patriots have been struggling, and yes, I know their past 5 games too. They have played all teams that are within like a run. They're either in the playoffs or are making a run for the playoffs currently. But realistically, I don't know how you can go against Tom Brady and the Patriots with like against the Bengals. Like, come on, I understand like they're on the road, but
Cincinnati.
I'm going New England minus 10. How do you not take that? How can you not?
I'm taking New England minus 10 too. Not going contrarian on this one. There are numbers that I can read to you, and you can look them up on your own time, and they've been, said here on the podcast already. But all I need to say is New England, Bill Belichick, coming off of 2 losses, he's not gonna they're gonna run up the score. It's not a question of whether or not they covered 10 points. It's a question of whether or not they don't drop 60. There's no way. Spot 9.5 is ridiculous. I don't get it. I'm taking 9.5, 10, whatever it falls at.
What's the highest you would go? How about that? That's tough. Maybe
See, now you're getting into dangerous territory, because I would definitely throw Cincinnati in a teaser and maybe get them up to
That's a good idea.
And maybe get them
16,
to 16 or 15 or something like that. You can I maybe feel comfortable giving Tom Brady 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I was gonna say 13.5.
I could do that. I don't think I will, but I could.
Right.
I could see myself doing that.
So we got next.
I mean, I think the game's going to go the other way. I think the Patriots' defense is the reason the Patriots cover this spread. I can't see Cincinnati. Andy Dalton has figured it out. I don't know. Figured out how to score points somehow.
Not necessarily.
And stay in games. But the Patriots' defense is going to be able to contain a team with no playmakers. It's just impossible. This game is going to be... I'm going to make a score prediction here. 31-10. Patriots win. And on that note, if no one else has anything to say...
One more note there, too. They lost to... The Pats lost to KC last week, but they probably should have won. They scored the football 3 times just to come away with 3 points.
They definitely should have won that game. 3 times.
They literally put the ball in the end zone 3 times and kept coming back. And then, it came down to the last play of the game where KC's corner, I think it was Breland? I think it was Breland.
Brashad Breland.
Just poked the ball over Edelman, just got right over his shoulder. So that game was close. They probably should have won, at least gone into overtime. I think Bill's pissed. I think Tom is pissed. I think that entire team, even, the rookie wide receivers that Tom doesn't know the name of, I think they're pissed. Again, I think it's pretty easy.
I think we're beating a dead horse here. So what we got next?
By the way, did I say book it?
You did.
I said book it.
Did I say Cincinnati plus 10?
You did, and I think you're real stupid for doing it. Moving on, we got Houston at Tennessee. We got a tale of, in my opinion, 2 very, very, very different 8-5 teams. Yes, Tennessee is home. This is a divisional matchup. Yes.
Yes.
Two
Big,
AFC South teams, big playoff implications.
This is a huge game for both teams. This is playoff implications.
Ryan Tannehill has been a blessing ever since the benching of Marcus Mariota. Derrick Henry has been playing phenomenally the last couple of weeks. I feel like the guy lives in the end zone with a sleeping bag. The line is Tennessee -3, and the under-over is set at 50.5. Very, very high total. I don't know how to feel about this Tennessee team. My gut right now is telling me Houston +3. I think Houston has many more playmakers than Tennessee does. I trust Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, Carlos Hyde, Will Fuller. I trust that offense a lot more than Tennessee. Tennessee's been making plays, but they don't have those X-factor guys other than maybe Derrick Henry on offense.
And he's questionable.
He's questionable, but he's a bull. He'll play. He's going to play. There's no shot Derrick Henry sits out this week. But Houston's coming off the Drew Lock coming out party, loss in Denver, or home against Denver, 38-24. They were 8-point favorites in that game and ended up losing by 2 touchdowns. Prior to that, they beat New England at home as well. This is their first road game in their last 3 games. They played at Indianapolis. They played home against Indianapolis, New England, and Denver. And then you look on the other side of the ball at Tennessee. They're coming back home after 2 road wins at Indianapolis and Oakland. And before that, took 2 home wins against Jacksonville and Kansas City. Tennessee's just hot right now. But I think this is where it ends. I'm going to take Houston. They just have too many playmakers. Houston +3.
People have been predicting that Tennessee fired the Tennessee Titans hot streak to come down for 4 straight weeks now. I think it's legit. I've been kind of on it now since it kind of started. they play legitimately good football. Mike Vrabel has them in the right places.
They
I
play
said
great
this.
football.
I said this last week. Mike Vrabel has them in the right places. He's smart. Those guys that they have, they might not have all the talent, but they're doing everything right. And Houston, to me, just doesn't look good. I believe I was the only one last week to pick Denver against the spread, and they won that game outright. And Houston didn't even look like it was they were fighting. It was garbage time. Deshaun Watson, rushing for touchdowns. So I'm taking Tennessee here at home, coming home to rowdy fans that are seeing a good football team for the first time in a while. There was so much promise when they drafted Mariota, and he's kind of, stunk a little bit.
In a bum.
Yeah, pretty much. Not the Heisman winner that he was at Oregon. Tennessee -3. I think this line is going to change a little bit too. So I would try to hop on this one early.
So I'm actually going to disagree with you on this. I personally think that this is going to rely a lot on Derrick Henry. He does have a huge load that he carries in the back. And I understand he's a bull and he hasn't practiced all week and he's probably resting up that hamstring. But if that thing tightens up, like he's screwed. And that's really... Sorry, we're watching the Jets-Ravens game real quick. All right, so the thing is, if he could just stay healthy and stay prominent throughout the game, I think it'll be a lot closer. I just think that they are on a 4-game win streak, and I think that does get snapped this week. I'm going to go with Texans money line. Not the spread. Texans money line.
I think they win this game outright in Tennessee.
They outright win this game.
I wouldn't be surprised.
They're 3-3 on the road. They're about to break that 500 right now. 4-3 on the road. Texans money line.
I'm with Mano in the Tennessee train. I really like the way they've been playing football the past 4 weeks. Tannehill's been a breath of fresh air. He knows how to run an offense efficiently. He's been making all the right moves with his reads. He's been doing it with his legs too, which is really surprising. No one expected him to do that. Derrick Henry is an absolute monster. Yeah, he has a little bit of a hammy problem, but he said that wouldn't be an issue earlier in the week when reporters were asking him at practice.
Would he say it would be an issue?
Well, no. He said he's going to be out there and he's going to be playing. If he was concerned, they would have said that they were concerned about his hamstring. But
Would you doubt him to his face if he said it wasn't an
All right,
issue?
I'm not saying that.
That is a large human being.
He's a tank. The way that Houston's defense is playing is bad. Houston's defense is playing really bad. Their offensive line is really bad. Tennessee's defense has always been better than average, but I think what Mano said before about how now that they're coming home and the home fans can see it, or they're going to see a team that has a good potential to make the playoffs this year. I don't think Tennessee disappoints here. I definitely think that they cover the spread here. I hate to go against Deshaun Watson and Hopkins and what they have on offense, but that's really all they have, and those two haven't really been able to prove it, with just the two of them. So I'm going to go Tennessee -3.
They're literally fighting each other for the playoffs. They play twice within the next 3 weeks, like the last 3 weeks of the season. So this is going to be a very gritty game. They're going to go.
I might want to buy it down a little bit just because I think a field goal will decide the game. But listen, I like Tennessee -3 here, and I wouldn't be too worried about it. So we got next.
I love your contradictions. It makes me happy.
Good. I don't care.
I wouldn't be worried about it, but I'm going to buy it down a little bit.
I would buy it down a little bit. Just
Anyways,
play it safe.
All right, I'm done being annoying because you were the winner last week against the spread.
There you go. That's all. Thank you. Thanks for acknowledging that.
Moving on, Seattle at Carolina. The line opened at Seattle -5.5. It's now up to Seattle -6.5. Still under that key number of 7. I'm all about the key numbers. I feel like they're a very, very big indicator of where the action is and the success you'll get taking one side or the other. Carolina's on a 5-game skid. They were 5-3, now sitting at 5-8 going into week 15. Seattle is 10-3, coming off a game where I personally think they looked very, very anemic against a Rams team. I actually picked Seattle, lost it. Who picked the Rams last week?
I did. I did. I picked the Rams last week.
You were the only one to pick the Rams last week.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm just digging myself a hole going against Nick. Let's go. Anyways, this is a game I feel like we're going to all have very, very similar takes on. Teams are finding ways to slow Christian McCaffrey down as much as you can slow him down. Seattle's a well-coached team between Pete Carroll and his staff. Kyle Allen must have taken swimming lessons and been a big fan of the diving board as a kid because he's taking his talents to the cliff and nose diving straight off of it.
Wow.
Just straight down, not performing at all.
I thought I didn't know how to speak.
Reaching for that one. But anyways, I don't even feel like this game makes much of a difference to speak about and give you some key stats like Mano said before about the New England game. This is just a tale of two teams. Seattle's in a bounce-back spot. Carolina looking to get right, but not really playing for much. I'm going to go Seattle minus 6.5. As long as this stays under 7 points on the spread, I think I'm comfortable taking that.
I agree with you on that. I mean, you just got to look. I mean, Carolina is 0-5 in the past 5 weeks. Last week was their bounce-back week. You'd say that, too. They lost to the Falcons. And also, the Seahawks defense has yet to let up over 100 yards rushing. I know McCaffrey started off the season very strong, but they've been struggling recently. And Carolina's also 1-4 against the spread in the past 5 weeks. I think it's dumb to just not take the Seahawks here at what is it, minus 6.5?
Yeah.
Seahawks minus 6.5.
Yeah, I think Pete Carroll's game plan going into this game is to let Kyle Allen beat you, and Kyle Allen probably is not going to beat you. They have the talent interior to stop a McCaffrey or whoever run up the middle, and they have the athletic, linebackers that can snuff out the pitches and the wheel routes. So it's going to come down to Kyle Allen, and I'm not putting my money on Kyle Allen. It's Seattle minus 6.
Yeah, I think this is a no-brainer. Christian McCaffrey pops off. You'll bottle up Christian McCaffrey. He'll still pop off, but that's not going to win you a football game. Christian McCaffrey could put up 150 total rushing yards and a touchdown. That's not going to win you the game. Seattle's experience. Pete Carroll's the man. Seattle minus 6.5.
All right, we got a squad agreement for the first time today, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
Seattle minus 6.5. When you have a squad agreement, you can feel pretty good about it. Moving on. Denver at Kansas City. We got Drew Lock versus Patrick Mahomes. After seeing Drew Lock start that game last week and just put up... Did they have all 38 in the first half?
They
had a lot.
They had
28 at least. But I don't know. They started off ridiculously hot against Houston. The line opened at Kansas City minus 10.5. It's now down to Kansas City minus 9.5. So money being put on Denver, and rightly so, and I agree with those people. Mm-hmm. The total opened at 46.5 and is now at 45.5. This line is weird to me. As much as I want to trust a Kansas City team, they don't look great. They just beat New England, but Patrick Mahomes, like we said it last week, doesn't look like he's at his full potential right now. He looks like he's playing a little bit hurt. And then you look on the other side of the ball, and Drew Lock looks like he's trending in the opposite direction. Not that Patrick Mahomes is going down by any means or losing his talent or anything, or just I don't know how to say it. But Denver is a team that's stayed in football games and has played well lately.
The defense is talent, I don't know. For sure.
They do.
I don't know if that talent is enough to keep Mahomes and that offense at bay. A couple notes here. Kansas City is 4-0 straight up versus division opponents and 7-3 straight up against conference opponents. Both teams are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games.
They're both 8-5 on the season against the spread. So good teams against the spread.
And surprising that Denver's covering. What I thought Denver was going to be at the beginning of the year was a team that was going to get blown out every game. I thought they were going to be an Arizona Cardinals, a Cincinnati Bengals, but they're 5-8. I'm surprised.
I mean, yes, and I wholeheartedly agree. But with the total at 45.5, Drew Lock showed the ability to put up points. Kansas City's defense has been porous. I'm going to go over on this one for my pick. Over 45.5. I think a lot of points are going to be scored here. Send it over.
So, Drew Lock was dating the Chiefs owner's daughter and broke up with her. I think he's going to have some stuff on his mind for this game. I think the Chiefs are going to come out to try and smack him in the mouth on this one.
She was hot.
She's a very, very, very attractive. But
he's got a better one now.
the thing is that Denver is 2-5 on the road, and I understand Holmes did suffer. I believe it was a hand injury in the beginning of last game.
Hollywood scored.
Oh, there's some money. All right, we'll get back to this. I'm taking, what is it, -6,
minus 9.5.
minus 9.5.
Wow, dime. Oh, no, he doesn't have both feet.
No.
You didn't drag the toe. This isn't Oklahoma, Hollywood. You can,
I don't know if he's okay or not.
Yes,
got it.
thank God.
Okay.
So you're more like
Okay.
Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood's got it. Hollywood's got it.
All right, I'm gonna agree with you on this one, Stick. I'm gonna stay away from the spread. I think Kansas City is obviously gonna win this one, but I think it is gonna be a back-to-back scoring game, high scoring. I'm gonna take the over on this one. What is it, 45.5?
Yeah.
Over 45.5.
Yeah, I'm going to take Kansas City minus 9.5. I took Denver last week. It worked out for me. I don't think I can take Denver twice and feel comfortable with it. I think Pat Mahomes is going to kind of tear apart this Denver defense, and I think that KC defense is going to be able to throw a lot of different looks at Locke, excuse me.
Well, Spags has the blitz packages.
Mm-hmm. I think I think he's going to be able to throw a lot of guys in Drew Lock. It's really difficult to not say Andrew Luck, but Drew Lock, quarterback for the Denver Broncos. I don't think Houston has the talent up front to kind of give him different looks, so I think they were able to kind of game plan around that defense. I don't think it's as easy this week. KC minus 9.5.
I'm gonna roll with Drew Lock this game. Is he the answer in Denver? I don't know. But he rode the bench for most of the season, trying to learn the playbook, and he's come out the past couple weeks, and he's played pretty decent. I've been very surprised. Cortland Sutton showed out this year. They have a 1-2 punch in the backfield with Phil Lindsay, Royce Freeman. The defensive side of the football, they still have Von Miller. They have Bradley. Is Bradley Chubb still playing, or did he get hurt?
I don't think he's played all year.
I think he tore his ACL.
Yeah, no, he got hurt in preseason, I'm pretty sure. Or very early in the season.
Well, I'm going to go with listen, I like a nice sneaky Denver 9.5 right here. I do think they have enough to cover this game. I think Spags is going to throw all he's got at Drew Lock, but I think Drew Lock can handle it. Drew Lock's young. He can move around the pocket. He's got the arm strength. I'm going to roll with Denver here. I don't want to do it in Kansas City, but I'm going to roll with Denver 9.5.
All right. So do we split down the middle? We got two on the over.
And
Manny's on
KC,
and you're on Denver. Okay, interesting. That's going to be a good game to watch, in my opinion.
It'll be a good game.
But the game that all Manos, you're not going anymore.
No.
Well, 3 of us, along with 2 more friends, are going to the Giants game, and that's the next game up on the slate. The Dolphins are in town at MetLife. Giants are favored by 3.5. Miami is 3-10.
Why?
The Giants are 2-11. Currently sitting in the 2 spot for the draft pick. I think this is the fight for the 2 and 3 spot in the draft. I don't know what to make of this. The total is set at 46.5. And we say why are the Giants favored 3.5 because we watch them week in and week out. But not only am I going to be at the game, but even if I were watching from my couch, I still think that the Giants, they put up a fight against Philly last week on Monday. And I just don't think Miami's a great team. They didn't get in the end zone against a poor Jets team, losing 28-7 against the Ravens right now. The Ravens are good. But I'm going to take the Giants minus 3.5 in this. I just think they have more talent. They have more firepower. Devontae Parker's not going to play. The only way I could see Miami... He's questionable, but he's not going to play. There's no reason for him to play.
What do you mean?
There's no reason for him to play.
There's no reason for the Giants to play.
That's fair, and I completely agree with you. And we've been crap talking the Giants the entire time, and they deserve it, 100%. But a total, in my opinion, is unplayable. You just don't know who's going to score points, if they're going to score points, how many points they're going to score. Giants minus 3.5 is my pick. I think they win this game. It's going to be close. They're going to win it by 5 points. and we're going to be there, and we're going to be ecstatic, and we shouldn't be because we want Chase Young, and winning this game is not going to help us get Chase Young.
I think this game I think the line itself is going to move a little bit more to favor the Giants. I'm thinking more in the 5 to 5.5 range. I don't know why, but if it does, and even now, I would consider throwing Miami in a teaser. I would think they win this game outright. Like, they're probably better than the Giants, I would think. So yeah, throwing this one in a teaser, getting it up to maybe at 3.5 right now, getting up to 8 or whatever. They'll definitely probably cover that. I don't know what I want to do with this game either. Both teams are obviously bad, but I think the Giants at home. I just don't see any inspirational football from them. I see at least care in a Miami team. I'm taking Miami plus 3.5.
Yeah, and I feel that with Mano too. Especially Miami's been playing hard. The past 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah, they didn't find the end zone last week, and it was with Jason Saunders last week putting up all the points for Miami. This is Miami's second straight game in New York. They've been able to stay in the hotel. There's the same hotel for 2 weeks. They've been able to relax. Fitzpatrick's obviously familiar with the surroundings. I don't know why the Giants are favored. The Giants have proved that they should never be favored in a football game ever. But I think Miami is good to cover the spread in this game. So I'm going to go with Miami plus 3.5.
I'm still so torn. I agree with everything you guys are saying. I realistically think that Fitzmagic is going to come out more electric than our guy Elijah. He is starting second week in a row. This is their second week in MetLife. I know they're on the road, but they are not traveling because they've been here. But I just want to go with our home team. I want to go with them, and especially when you look at the team. I understand we're doing bad, but we do have multiple targets on offense that should help us win. And I know Saquon hasn't really been doing much at all. Not doing much, but he hasn't been doing what he was expected to do all season. I think this is the week that he really just pops off one last time before the season is over. I'm not saying that this is a bet. This is just to throw out there. I think he scores at least 2 touchdowns this week. I'm going to go with my pick, though, take Giants -3. I'm going to say hop on it early, though, because I'm going to agree with Mano that the line may change. Because I think a lot of people are going to hop on the Giants for some reason. So I'm going to say take it early -3.
See, the thing with me with this game is whoever, I would take the dog, whoever. If it was Giants plus 3.5, I'd be all aboard Giants plus 3.5. I think whoever it was the dog this game would prove to be a good value pick.
I agree.
I think... that's why I have to go with Miami because 3.5 points on the board. I think it's going to be a back and forth game, or the Giants can obviously pop off. And the other thing that does scare me is I am a little nervous about Devontae Parker's stick. I'm a little nervous. He's been limited all week. He's still in concussion protocol. If they don't have him, then it's going to be Alan Hearns, Mike Gesicki, Isaiah Ford. That's all I got. So I think that's gonna. All right. That'll wrap the books up on this one.
What are you taking?
I'm taking Miami. Miami 3.5. Yeah, all the way.
All right. So we'll be there. Live from MetLife. Keep an eye out for stories on Instagram at capsON Sports, capsON.sports. Moving on, we have Jacksonville at Oakland. 2 teams completely on the downhill at the moment. Jacksonville 4-9. They're throwing the towel in. They traded Jalen Ramsey to the Rams. Oakland is 6-7. They started off hot. They're just not good. They're just not a good football team. John Gruden, like I said last week, it looks very lost. They started off well against Tennessee last week. They kept it close. It was 21-21 at the half, and then they just didn't score a point in the second half and lost. They got doubled up, 42-21, as 2.5-point underdogs. The spread is Oakland -6.5 at home. And the total is set at 45.5. I know we typically make picks on every single game. I have no pick for this game.
No, you have to make.
Come
No, come on.
I have no pick.
No.
I'm not
We'll
making
end the
a pick.
podcast right here.
I'm not making a pick.
No,
I don't want
make
to touch
pick.
this game. I don't want to think about this game. and I don't advise you touch this game, so I don't want to even remotely advise that you spend your hard-earned money on Jacksonville or Oakland because I have no idea how this game's going to go. I don't trust Oakland to win by a touchdown, and I don't think Jacksonville is worthy of covering a touchdown. I just don't know, and I don't want to play the total because it's right smack dab in the middle at 45, a very average total. Don't touch it. Just don't do it. Please. I beg you. And that's it.
Yeah, boo.
I think it's a big time teaser week. I'm going back to back. I think Jacksonville at plus 6.5. If I were to make a pick like straight up, I think that would be the pick. But I'm thinking I'm gonna throw this one in a teaser and try to get this up a little more. I might take Jacksonville plus 6.5 straight up. I think Jacksonville. I think their defense. It has guys like they can get to the quarterback. I don't know if John Gruden has the ability to protect, or John Gruden's offensive line and Oakland's offensive line has the ability to protect Derek Carr back there.
Yeah, it's tough because I feel like both of these teams are playing very uninspiring football right now. Jacksonville doesn't look like they want to play. Oakland doesn't really look like they want to play. John Gruden hasn't really been able to get a handle on his team. The quarterback change proved to do nothing for the team last week for Jacksonville. I would not spend my cold hard cash on this game, but I am going to make a pick, however, because that's how it works.
That just means I'm taking this game out of the equation and I'm weighting all the other games more favorably in my in my final percentage. So I'm completely comfortable with that. I don't want to make a pick on this game. That's it.
I don't. 6.5 is a lot to give Derek Carr and the Oakland Raiders offense. So I do like Jacksonville plus 6.5. Gardner Minshew's proved it before that he's able to go out there and win a football game. Josh Jacobs is questionable to suit up for Oakland this week. So if they don't have him, then again that's going to prove to be a valuable weapon not playing. So I think Oakland shows up. Not Oakland. I'm sorry. I think Jacksonville shows up. At least covers the spread. So I'll take Jacksonville 6.5.
All right. I'm also really torn on this. Like, this could literally just go any way. The one thing is that the Raiders... Jesus Christ. I don't even fucking...
The Oakland Raiders!
Okay, like, the Raiders, like... Yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean, the Raiders...
Just save yourself the stress.
That's
Don't
what I'm gonna do.
Do it.
I have no idea what to go with. I have a lot of faith. Listen, my guy is John Gruden. I love that guy. He's an animal.
Take him.
However, I am going against my guy. I have faith in Gardner Minshew. Listen, the Oakland Raiders, they realistically are most likely not going to make the playoffs, but the Jaguars are guaranteed to not make the playoffs. I think Gardner Minshew goes out there. They have nothing to play for, so why not just fully knock out the Raiders from having any possibility of making the playoffs? Don't hammer. Save your money. Take the Jags money line. They're going to beat the Raiders outright.
That's your pick for this game. No spread. You want Jacksonville straight up.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah. Don't hammer it though.
Don't hammer it.
Don't touch it at all.
Don't even
Don't do it.
Just think about it. Just don't do it.
All right.
Man, did you make a pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said Jacksonville plus 6.5, but I'm probably gonna throw it in a teaser.
Oh, you did say that.
Yeah,
Just-
it's a big teaser week for me.
It is.
You got to pick now.
Yeah,
I don't
You
want
have
to
to
pick.
pick.
I don't want to
I don't
pick.
care. I don't care.
Oakland minus 6.5.
Thank
Oh.
you. There it is. Thank you. All right. Next.
I don't like it. I'm not happy that I just got peer pressured into making a pick for this game, so
And you are the outlier.
I'm going to be really upset.
And you're the outlier.
I am.
Does that make you feel more confident?
No, not at all. This game's going to end in a tie, and I'm fine with that. 0-0 tie. Cleveland at Arizona. Cleveland sits at 6-7. Arizona at 3-9. We got a battle of Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, 2 number 1 overall picks. I haven't been high on Cleveland, but they have the superstars, and I think in close games like this, it makes a difference. However, I don't think this is the game that makes a difference. They're going to Arizona. Kyler Murray has the ability to get out of the pocket and make plays. I don't think Arizona is a good team by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
I don't my heart wants to take Arizona. I just have this gut feeling that Arizona is going to win. I just have this weird gut feeling, and I don't know why. I just don't know why at all. I don't know. Like, this is just weird.
I think this
I
is
agree
it's
with
crap.
I'm not providing any insight right now at all, and
All right, what you got,
I'm
Mike?
sorry,
What you
but
got, Mike? Since
See,
we got a brain fart over here.
it's less than a field goal. I can't leave it on the table. I'm gonna take. I'm taking Cleveland minus 2.5.
Ooh.
Arizona doesn't deserve it. They don't deserve the points.
Exactly.
Like, more Odell talk this week about how he doesn't want to be in Cleveland. Whatever.
Odell's a big baby.
He is a big baby. I'm really glad we don't have him in New York anymore. As good as he is.
Wish we had a better trade package for him though.
That's fair. I agree, especially because Jabril just hasn't played. But anyways, another touchdown
Touchdown
for the Ravens.
Wow.
Oh man,
Jets
I
plus
love
16
money.
and a half
I
did not
love
work out
money.
for me.
No, it did not.
Wow.
This game is turning into a blowout. My over just hit.
Wow. All right.
Just-
What we got
I
next?
just want to point out the fact that I did say I should have taken the minus 17. But it's fine.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah.
Just
Mike
wanna
was
point
the
that
only
out.
one here who said who said Ravens minus 17. So I'll give you that one.
Little behind the scenes, we had a little discrepancy on this. It's fine. Listen, my lock of the week last week was the Browns at minus 7. They managed to win by 8. The thing is, I was kind of feeling the Cardinals. I do like Kyler Murray. The problem is last week that the Browns, yes, they didn't play well. They still won, but Baker Mayfield played awful. He had two interceptions, I think, no touchdowns, threw for under 200 yards. I think this week, not that they get it together, but I think they perform a little bit better than they did last week. I'm going to have to take the Browns minus 2.5 on this.
Yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I'm taking Cleveland too. The Cardinals last week against the Steelers, they kind of made that game a little close. It was kind of out of it, pretty early on, but they kind of snuck back into it. I'm worried that might happen this game too, but with a spread of 2.5 to 3, I'm not too worried about it. I'm not necessarily concerned about it right now. Cleveland is 4-1 in their last 5 games, and 3-1-1 against the spread. I think this Cleveland team is talented, and I think they have the talent to beat an Arizona team that's really got nothing to play for. I think Cleveland minus 3 is one of the safer picks on the slate this week.
Yeah, Arizona hasn't won a football game since October 20th, so almost 2 months ago they haven't won a football game. The last time they won a game, the Cardinals Twitter account just tweeted out to all the angry fantasy football owners out there, just enjoy the win, we sure are. Ever since that tweet, they are 0-6. So I can't trust the Cardinals here. The points are under a field goal.
You know who they beat on the 20th?
Yeah, they beat the Giants.
Okay, all
they
right.
beat the Giants.
Just
so
making
so
sure
2 months ago was the last time that the Cardinals won a football game. It was against the New York Football Giants.
Oh, man.
Terrible.
Yeah, Chase Edmonds coming out party. He
Yeah.
would have scored 3 touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, it just... I can't trust anything Arizona. I can't. The Cardinals is just... I can't... The Baker makes me nervous. Cleveland makes me nervous, but better team wins here. Cleveland minus 2.5. I think a squad agreement on that one. I think easy. No, Stick. You like Arizona?
No, I took
Nah.
Cleveland. I took Cleveland.
You did.
Yeah,
You going against your hunch?
yeah, I have to.
Yeah, you have.
I can't do it.
You
I can't do it.
You can't do that.
Moving on, we got Minnesota at the Chargers. This has the potential to be a good game, in my opinion. The Chargers have played teams very close. We've mentioned that. However, they blew. They blew Jacksonville out of the water 45-10 last week as 3-point favorites. And they're 3-point underdogs this week, just about. But I don't think it's going to be much of the same here. Minnesota's a talented team. They're sitting at 9-4. They control their destiny for the playoffs. They're going to get in. Kirk Cousins is playing well. That's really all you can say. They've won close games, and then they've won in their last 4 games. They beat Dallas 28-24, beat Denver 27-23, lost by a touchdown in Seattle, and then they beat Detroit by 13 last week for a nice solid push against the spread. We all pushed. We all picked Detroit plus 13, I believe.
Correct.
And I don't know what to make of the Chargers team. I think they're very talented, but then again, Minnesota also is very talented. I just don't think the Chargers defense is going to hold up very well. They're 1-5 at home against the spread this year. Phillip Rivers turns the ball over like a monster. And Kirk Cousins has thrown 23 touchdowns against 4 interceptions. So he's playing out of his mind, like I mentioned. I think Minnesota minus 2.5 is the pick. I think
we have a minus 1.5. I think that's what it opened at 2.5.
Either way,
yeah, it opened at 2.5 and it went from 2.5 to 1.5.
Even better.
I don't know why.
I mean,
it's going to come down to Phil Rivers like it does every week.
I don't even think that's the case. I think this game's going to be a 10-point game. I think Minnesota wins. Yeah. I don't think the Chargers can stop Dalvin Cook in the run.
No.
And even if they do, I think
I just can't trust the Chargers.
I just think Kirk has the ability to keep his team in the game. I think he's able to play. They're getting Thielen back. He's working towards being fully healthy again, and I just think Minnesota's offense is going to be too much for a mediocre Chargers defense. They're not a bad defense. They only let up 10 points last week, but that was against Jacksonville. And Minnesota has a lot more firepower. So Minnesota, take them. If this line even goes up to 3, which it's moving in the opposite direction right now, if you can get this under a field goal, I'd take it. But I think that's going to be plenty.
Yeah, I like to keep this one short and sweet because I don't like the LA Chargers. All year I haven't liked them. They've lost me a whole lot of money.
But we love Hunter Henry.
We do love Hunter Henry, though. I just can't trust Phil Rivers anymore. I don't like Kirk Cousins, but this isn't a primetime game, so I'm not really worried. So I'll have to roll with Minnesota minus 1.5, and I think as long as like you said, Stick, as long as it's under 3, I think you put some money on it. So I'll go Minnesota minus 1.5.
Yeah, the Chargers have been very unlucky this year. I think the majority of their losses have been like 1-score losses. It's just the way it's kind of gone down this year. I don't see that playing out this week, though. I think Minnesota kind of blows them out of the water here. The line at 1.5 for Minnesota, minus 1.5. I don't see why it's. I don't see why it's mine.
I don't know why.
I don't know. I think San Diego can keep. They can keep this game.
Not San Diego.
I think LA. Excuse me. All 25 LA fans.
Oh god.
They could keep it close. They have talent. They've gotten extremely unlucky. Minnesota steamrolls them in this game. Minus 1.5. That might be my lock of the week.
I have to. I have to agree with you, man. I think that this is gonna be a first half. Like in the first half, it's gonna be close. We'll be biting our nails. Like, oh man, like the Chargers are not looking as bad. Then when the second half comes around, the Vikings are really just gonna pull away with this. Like you said, Kirk Cousins is not in prime time, so he should be playing well. Phillip Rivers is at the end of his career. He doesn't have the arm. It might come down to a 1-score game, and then Phillip Rivers does his classic drive the field, throw a pick. I think you have to take the Vikings minus, what is it, 1.5 or minus 1? Minus 1.5 on this. Vikings minus 1.5.
Squad agreement.
Yep.
Once again.
Yep.
Lay the points. Moving on, we have the Atlanta Falcons visiting the San Francisco 49ers. Coming off a thriller, a heartbreaker for me. I took the Saints last week. And George Kittle with probably the most grown man run after catch, I guess you could say, and well, I mean it was the most it was unbelievable. My jaw just dropped. I was watching my money just fly straight out of my pockets. The line opened up at San Francisco minus 11. It's now San Francisco minus 10.5. The over under is set at 48. This is a weird game for me. I don't know necessarily. I mean, I'm no shot Atlanta wins this game.
All right, well, San Fran, they're down Richard Sherman. They're down Weston Richburg. D Ford's out.
D Ford's been out.
So they're missing a lot of spots, a lot of open holes on the defense.
I don't know. I just don't think. I don't know. This is a game I'm going to stay away from because it's always just the X factor for me. Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley have the ability to make
Calvin
plays.
Ridley's out.
He's out?
Yeah, he's out for the season.
That is true.
So
Regardless, the X Factor, Julio Jones, especially with Richard Sherman out like you touched on, I just think that he has the ability to make that big play. And big plays get covers. And I'm not going to endorse Atlanta minus 11 because I feel like their offense could absolutely stall out.
Plus 11.
Plus 11. I think their offense can stall out against a really good Niners defense. And Atlanta's defense has been up and down, but San Francisco's offense has been just pretty steady the entire year. So this line is just right on that button for me, and I just don't know which way I'm going to take this. The line is 48, and I think Atlanta's going to score points. I think they'll get somewhere in the 15 to 20 range. But then again, I also think San Francisco is going to be able to put up anywhere from 25 to 30. I just don't know where this is going to go. So if you have to play this, I would take the over. It opened at 46.5. It's now 48. So people are definitely taking the over and pushing it up, and I happen to agree with them. So if you have to have a play on this game, I'm going to take the over. But other than that, I'm not going to play a side on the spread.
I gotta agree with you on that one, Stick. I mean, if you look at Atlanta, their games, they beat New Orleans, who lost to the 49ers this past week. And like you said, with Richard Sherman being out, you have Julio Jones, who's even more of a lethal target. Now you have Austin Hooper, who's back and healthy. See, the 11.5 spread is what scares me. That's too much. And I really don't think Atlanta's going to win this game, but they can perform very well on offense. They literally beat Carolina by 20 points. I'm going to also go with the over in this one. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. Over 48. Hop on it soon, though, because it is going up and will probably go up even more.
There is no roof in San Francisco, so that over is going to keep climbing. Nick, did you make a pick?
I did, but you can go ahead.
You can go. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I like Atlanta plus 11 here, plus 11, plus 10.5, whatever you have it at. I think this is a bit of a trap game for San Fran. They've been in a couple tight wire games the past 2 weeks. Last week when they played the Saints, and the week before when they played Baltimore. Two very emotional games. One win, one loss, obviously. But this is a game where Atlanta is playing Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan used to be their offensive coordinator. I think Atlanta comes out firing on all cylinders, and I think Julio Jones tears apart that secondary. No Calvin Ridley means Matt Ryan only really has to throw the ball to one person the whole entire game. I think Matt Ryan has enough to get a backdoor cover here at the end of the game, in garbage time, if anything. So I'm going to take Atlanta on the points, 10.5, 11, whatever it is.
I'm going to disagree with all you guys here. And I think this happened last week. I think you guys all had New Orleans against San Francisco. I'm going to take San Francisco. I'm laying the points. I think last week they proved that they can keep up with one of the best offenses in the NFL. The defense for San Francisco is never a question whether or not they're good. Coming off a tough win, really grinded out on both sides of the ball. Win against New Orleans. I think they have a lot easier time welcoming the Falcons into not even Candlestick. Levi?
Yeah, Levi.
Levi?
Candlestick,
Levi.
good.
It's whatever. San Francisco.
The stadium.
Yeah, they're gonna welcome them home. They're gonna win this game, and I really think it's gonna be a blowout here. Minus 10.5.
I don't hate the pick. I don't hate it at all. Anyway, moving on to the Rams visiting Jerry World and the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. The line is LA minus 1.5. It opened at LA plus 2.5. So the line has moved a whole 3 points. The under-over opened at 48. It got pushed up to 49. A lot of money is being put on the Rams, and I agree with that once again. I think the line movement is very indicative of the way this game is going to go. The Rams proved that they can still hang after there were some questions as their offense stalled out for a couple games. They're still, I don't know. They put up 17 and won 17-7 against Chicago 4 weeks ago. Then they got blown out at home against Baltimore. But who isn't Baltimore blowing out? Then they blew out Arizona in Arizona 34-7. And then they had a very, very good win against Seattle in prime time last week on Sunday night. I think the Rams are trending up, and Dallas has lost 3 straight. Dallas is a good team. I think they're going to end up coming up on top in the NFC East, but that's not very hard. I just think the Rams are figuring it out at the right time, and it's going to be a rude awakening for Dallas. I'm going to take the Rams, and I'm going to lay the points here, as long as it's under a field goal. But I think it's pretty much going to settle around a pick'em game when all is said and done.
Yeah, last week I picked against LA when the line was 1. This week, Dallas is in a must-win game. I mean, to stay afloat in a division where nobody really wants to win it, where you just kind of have to keep riling, keep, getting points. They're +1. I think they have phenomenal talent on both sides of the ball. They've really kind of taken that next jump with Dak Prescott and that offense, and not being so reliant on Ezekiel Elliott to kind of carry the load and then let Dak Prescott play off of that. Now they're letting Dak Prescott play and letting Ezekiel Elliott play off of that, if that makes sense. But I think LA is peaking at the right time. It's a good line. I would go LA -1.
I gotta agree with you on that. I think LA is peaking at the right time, especially with them beating the Seahawks like that. And Gurley is just looking great. The offensive line is starting to look a little better, giving Goff more protection, open up some more holes for Gurley. And I mean, the Cowboys, I have no trust in them. They have just been not playing well. They're most likely going to win the NFC East with a losing record. And with a line like this, I think that you just have to take the Rams at -2.5, right?
1.
1.5? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Rams -1.5.
Yeah, the spread's a little tough in this game because it is, kind of a pick'em game. If I go spread, I do like the Rams. The Rams -1.5. Over/under is set at 49 right now, which I think is very high because I think this game is going to be all defense, all running the football. The Cowboys have had trouble getting their offense going. LA's offense has been struggling too. I think the under is the play for this game, so under 49. So I would play under 49, and I would play LA -1.5.
Okay. Moving on, we have the Sunday Night Football game. The Buffalo Bills are visiting Heinz Field, and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The Lurs!
The Lurs. Buffalo comes into this game at 9-4. Pittsburgh at 8-5. A very, very surprising team this year. Pittsburgh's actually 1.5-point favorites at home against the Bills. And in Buffalo's last 4 games, they're 3-1. They lost a tight one to Baltimore by a touchdown. They had a shot to win that game, actually. And they probably gave Baltimore the biggest test of the season, aside from their losses. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, has won 3 of their last 4. Albeit
they're getting Juju back and James Conner this week.
They are, but
Is James Conner definitely coming back?
Mm-hmm.
yes,
They're both good to go this week.
I just don't. I mean, I don't. I think this is a trap game. I don't. It's prime time and Ducky Hodges. We haven't seen him play in prime time, but then again, how often have we seen Josh Allen play in prime time? And then you look at that and you flip it over, and I think Buffalo's defense gets the edge. And I just, when the line is this close to a pick'em, I just feel like you have to rely on the team that isn't going to hurt you, and the team that's going to play slow and steady, solid the entire game, and eventually eke it out. And I tend to lean towards the underdogs in games like this where you don't really know who to pick. Buffalo's a sneaky team. They have an opportunity to be 10-4, their best season in years. Yeah, I would take Buffalo with plus money. I just don't. I don't trust Pittsburgh. Like, yeah, they're playing very well, but the luck's gonna run out eventually. And Buffalo was able to hold Lamar Jackson to 24 points, and Devlin Hodges just is nowhere close to Lamar Jackson. And regardless of getting their superstars back in Juju and James Conner, not that they're superstars, I just don't feel like they're going to be in the stride of things. They haven't seen game action in a while. But yeah, Buffalo, definitely. Take the plus money. I take the money line also.
I feel it too. I think Buffalo's legit. They've proven it all season that they can hang with the superpowers of the league when it comes to Baltimore, when it comes to New England. Yeah, they're on the road in Pittsburgh on a Sunday night game. Stadium's going to be crazy. Defense travels, though. It's going to be a defensive game. I don't, like you were saying with Duck Hodges, I don't know if I trust Duck Hodges as much as I trust Josh Allen this game. Even Josh Allen's tough to trust, but it's tough to leave the 2-point, 1.5 or 2? 1.5? It's tough to leave the 1.5 on the board there. I think the Buffalo is a safe pick here. I'll take Buffalo plus 1.5, and I think that's going to be my lock of the week this week is Buffalo.
I think Buffalo is a safe pick here. I think you touched on it. When the line is this close, you go with consistency. You don't know what kind of game Hodges is going to have, and he's looked good. He's proved that he can be a quarterback in this league going forward with a little more time and a little more, a little more game experience. But the Buffalo Bills are 5-0-1 against the spread on the road, and they're 4-1-1 against the spread as underdogs. I don't think Buffalo loses this game. I would agree they are probably going to win this game outright, but just to be safe, I'm definitely taking 1.5 points. I might throw that in a teaser. It's a big teaser week for me.
Big teaser, yeah.
Listen, it's tough to go against Buffalo and what they've done this year. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I think that defense is proven, but I don't think people want to believe that it's proven.
Well, I don't think people want to believe in the offense. That's the thing, is nobody wants to believe that Josh Allen can do it with Cole Beasley, with John Brown, with Singletary.
And the points reflect that. I mean, at 35.5, like that's an insane number to that is literally no offense being played.
Yeah, I mean it could end up being a 14-10 game. I don't know how you pick against the Bills.
All right, well, you guys pretty much hit on all my points, so I'll bring up a point that I've brought up in the past 2 to 3 weeks. Kyle Allen's hands.
The hands.
Josh Allen.
Oh, what did I say? Kyle Allen?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That guy's nosediving off the cliff.
Yeah. he has small hands. Josh Allen, big hands. You're always trusting a guy with big hands. Like you guys also said, they are looking consistent on both sides of the ball. He's proved himself. This is also the Bills' first Sunday night game since 2007. So I think they're hungry. They want to just prove themselves in prime time. You also have to remember that Bills Mafia will roll deep to this. I understand going into Heinz Field, the Yinzers, they are a pretty rough crowd. But Bills Mafia will roll deep, so they'll have some support there. And one thing I do really want to emphasize is we're getting into the middle into late December almost. The Ducks have flown south for the winter. The duck is dying this game. I'm taking the Bills money line on this one.
I like that.
Can you what was the first thing you said, that they haven't played in a Sunday night game since
2007?
The Bills haven't played in a Sunday night game.
Okay, that's a stat that I found. Buffalo is making its first appearance on Sunday Night Football since facing the New England Patriots during the 2007 season.
And what was the result of that game? Do you know?
No, but I can find out.
What does that matter?
I'm just curious.
12 years ago.
Yeah,
Josh Allen was in probably
from
third
that
grade.
2007 Bills team on this team.
Definitely not.
No?
From
Okay.
12 years
No
ago.
shot.
Frank Gore.
All right, moving on. We got a squad agreement on a dog. That doesn't happen often.
Because the dog shouldn't be the dog.
But
It should
exactly.
not be
You know Vegas is wrong, and Vegas loves to be sneaky with their trap games, and that's absolutely one of them. So,
just before we move on to the next one, that 2007 Sunday night game where the Patriots played the Bills at Buffalo, the score was...
Oh, God.
The Bills had 10 points, and the New England Patriots had 56.
tides are going to change, baby.
Listen,
That is not happening this
The players have turned over since then, I think.
Yeah, that was back when Josh Allen was in third grade.
Jesus Christ.
Probably.
All right, we got Monday night.
Monday night, we're moving on. We got Indy at New Orleans in the Benz Superdome. The line opened up at New Orleans -8.5. It's now -9. So line's getting pushed up. Action on New Orleans. Little adjustment there. The total opened at 45.5. The over/under is now at 46. New Orleans, again, involved in that thriller with the 49ers last week. They're welcoming a lackluster Colts team in here. They come into this game at 6-7. I still think the Saints are one of the best teams in football.
Who do you think is more pissed off, the Colts because they lost kind of last second to Jameis Winston, or the?
They were winning that whole game, weren't they?
I believe so, yeah. Or the Saints because they just lost a heartbreaking game to San Francisco.
I mean, I don't know. I think the Saints, just because they have more to play for, and that game meant a lot considering home field advantage. And that's why the Saints -9 are going to be my pick for the week.
You already have a lot.
You already have
Not my lock. It's going to be my pick for the game. I guess the week. It technically rolls over on a Monday, so depends on...
Well, that's not true. The week is technically Sunday to
not
Saturday.
if it's in my betting week, because it rolls over on a Monday. So I'm going to start this week off with a win. New Orleans -9. I think they have something to prove here. They lit up one of the best defenses in the league. They lost the game, but they put, 35 on them? 40-something? 42? How many points did they score last week against the Niners?
It was 48-46, I thought.
46.
Yeah,
They put up 46 points on one of the best defenses in the league. Now they're home. I mean, they were home last week. They 2 consecutive home games. I'm rambling a little bit here. Regardless, my point is that Indianapolis is nowhere near as good as San Francisco. And Drew Brees looked excellent after he didn't look so great the last couple of weeks. He's still Drew Brees, future Hall of Fame quarterback. The Colts have struggled to put up points. The Saints
T.Y.
defense.
Hilton's supposed to be coming back. Does
Fine.
that change anything?
No, not at all.
I don't think so. Would not change anything for me.
New Orleans
either.
-9 is my pick, and I also might take the over because New Orleans defense has shown signs of just letting up some points, and
Just pick on Eli Apple. That's the game plan.
it's easy. It's
We
the
know
same,
that.
the same as Tom Brady's going to do against BW Webb. That's another reason why I have a lock of the week. Yeah, that's just ridiculous. New Orleans -9.
I'm going to take Indy +8.5 here. I think they play very safe football, and I think that's a product of T.Y. Hilton being out. I don't know if T.Y. Hilton really changes anything from an offensive talent perspective for them, especially if he's still hobbled. But just having him out there and having a familiar, a reliable target for Jacoby Brissett to throw to is definitely beneficial for him. 9 points, 8.5 points here. I'm just not a big believer in New Orleans defense. I think they have the ability to, keep putting up points, but if they're going to keep conceding points back the other way, I don't think it really doesn't matter. I'm going Colts +8.5.
All right. I agree with you to an extent with the New Orleans defense. The only thing is I can't go against New Orleans at what was it, -9 or -9.5?
9.
-9. I mean, they're just too good, and they put up a great fight against the 49ers, and the Colts coming off that loss. I just think that they're gonna go into New Orleans, then they're just gonna get smacked. I think -9 is an easy bet in my opinion to take. So yeah, Saints -9 for this week at Monday night.
I'm struggling a little bit here, not because of New Orleans defense, but the way that Indianapolis plays football. They have Marlon Mack back now. I'm thinking this game might go a little bit how it went when Indianapolis played Kansas City earlier in the year. They controlled the ball the whole entire game. They had time of possession the whole entire game, and that obviously limits the deficit that they have to face. They don't have the firepower to keep up with New Orleans, which is why they're going to have to run the ball the whole game and have long 6-minute possessions. I do think New Orleans win this game, but I do think Indianapolis has enough to cover the spread at 9. So I'm gonna go Indy +9 here.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I feel good with that.
So we're split down the middle. Mikey and I are on
New Orleans.
New Orleans, and Nick and Mano are on the Colts. And that concludes all the games for the week. We're going to move on to the locks of the week. I've already flat out came out and said New England minus 10 is my lock of the week, and I'm going to stick with that.
And then I have Buffalo +2, +1.5, whatever you got it at. I do think they went out right, so whatever you want to take their points at, but I think Buffalo is a good lock.
I'm gonna take the Rams minus. I'm gonna take the Rams -1 as
You
my.
didn't sound very confident.
Yeah, it's a
there.
little
Well, no,
hesitant lock.
I just didn't want us to have
That's
the
a
same.
shaky luck.
Okay, no shake here. Very confident in this one. Rams -1. That's a lock.
The locksmith. I'm gonna take Minnesota -1.5 as my lock of the week. I know that the Chargers have gotten lucky or gotten unlucky this entire year. I don't think such luck holds up here. Minnesota -1.5.
All right, so we got 4 locks of the week. Those picks will be posted as our NFL picks on Sunday on our Instagram. A nice little plug here with our Instagram and our other social medias. You can follow us on Instagram at capson.sports. You can follow us on Twitter at capson_inc. That's INC. And that concludes our Week 15 4th episode of the capsON podcast. And as always, we appreciate you guys listening. Please spread the word if you enjoyed. And we'll be back next week for Week 16, our 5th episode. And as always, we'll keep the cap on for you.
Get ready to win some money.